How's everyone doing? Thanks for joining me on my small engine repair channel. Today's project is this Ariens push mower, and the problem it's having is the pull cord is broken and the spring is also either broken on the recoil or it has come out of place. So let's dive into it and see if we can't fix it. Alright guys, first thing we gotta do is take off this top shroud, and there's three 10mm nuts. And the housing comes off. And in this case, the starter recoil comes right off as well. So, as you can see, when I go to wind it up, it doesn't spring back. So something's wrong with the spring inside here. So we're going to dive into this and see if we can't fix it up. Alright guys, over on my bench here now, there's a 10mm bolt in the center here. Take that guy off. Okay, these pulls. We'll stay with it. Or you can just take them off. Just remember that there's a little spring there. Don't lose that little spring. And it goes on the outside when you go to put it back together. Okay. We turn this around, and the spring doesn't look like it's broken. It just looks like it wasn't attached. So that should have a bit of a hook end, almost like this end here. Okay, so it should have a bit of a hook end, and that hook should fit around the inside little flange here to kind of hold it in place. So what we're going to do is just bend this guy back, and then we're going to put it back on, and hopefully this little spring catches on this little flange here, and then we can wind it back up, replace the rope, and we'll be in business. Alright guys, so what I've done is I've taken a pair of needle nose pliers, and I just bent the spring to match the same bend as on the other end of the spring. So you can see this spring kind of bends back this way, so I made that bend back that way as well. Okay, and the objective here is just to get the end of this spring to actually sit over top of this guy right here, so it'll sit like this and catch on the inside right there. So that's what I've done. Just put this back on, kind of line it up. Okay, so now you can see that it actually has building some spring tension now, and if I let this go, it springs back. Okay, so that's all there is to doing that. I'll put this guy back together now. These pulls, again, little spring goes on the outside of the pull on both sides. Alright, and since I have this open up right now, I'm going to go ahead and lubricate this area as well, where that little spring is on either side. I'm also going to spray some lubrication in that other end of the spring. And in fact, to do that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray a bunch of lubrication on the inside where this spring is. That's the best way of getting it done, since it's already taken apart. I'll put this guy back together. Okay, so that's good. Stick this guy back on. Okay, so you got to make it so in this one, and anyways, in particular, see this little sort of, I don't know, tab or whatever you want to call it. That's got to go on this side of the pawl, so it'll actually spring it out and spring it back. Okay. You're gonna have to hold that down because there's a spring underneath this bolt. Get it started by hand. Cinch it up. Okay, and you know you've got it when you can put some tension on there and it pulls those pawls out, which is what happens. Engage the starter cup, and when you let go, they retract back in. Okay, so that's that. Next thing we gotta do is put a new rope on here. So what we're gonna need to do is get yourself about 8 feet of this nylon rope or cord. This happens to be number 4. Alright, I got different sizes for different machines. And get yourself about 8 feet of that. So now I cut myself 8 feet off. I'll just burn the ends so it doesn't fray anymore. And you just put it on the ground, and I like to sort of bring it to a point as best I can. Okay, just like that, both ends. Okay, there we go. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to turn this and coil it up. Load up the spring about I don't know, 5 or 6 turns, and then I'm going to line up this hole right here, or the inside of that hole right there, with this hole on the outside. Okay, just kind of like that. I'm going to have to feed it in from the outside, get it through that hole. But first I'm going to wind it up about 5 or 6 turns, and I'm going to stick a screwdriver in there so that it holds. 1. Oh, so there you go. My spring is not holding. I'll just try that over again. Well, that whole spring has come out now. And there we go. Alright, so this is going to be another part video. I'll show you how to recoil the spring again. Alright, so to recoil this spring, what you're going to have to do is get this started try and hold this in here. Okay, and then you just keep winding it around. Alright, so I got it back in there now. You gotta sort of bend this so that this is going to line up with the tab. So alright, let's try this again. Guess I'm going to test it here before I get too far into putting it back. Alright, that feels much better. Alright, there we go. Alright, so back to where I was. So, here's my wipe mark. Just going to spin that around 5 or 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go with that. We'll start with that. And then you got to put this screwdriver in somewhere where it's going to hold that in place. But I got to bring it around again so these holes kind of line up. And there it's getting a little bit close to the max tension there, so you got to be careful you don't over tension it. I'm going to stick this in, and sometimes this is the hardest part, trying to get those holes to line up, but that one went in pretty close, pretty quick. Pull that guy through, tie yourself a knot. I'm going to take my gloves off for the rest of this, just because they'll get your nice clean white rope all dirty. Alright, so that's nice and tight. So now all you're going to do is you're going to release the tension on that nice and slow and let the rope feed in there. Now you got to be careful because I haven't got a handle on the other end just yet. So I don't want it to go all the way in. So I'm going to leave a little bit out, put my screwdriver back in. I'm going to get the handle for this, which is here off this broken guy. Sorry, a broken rope. Alright. I'm just going to cut it. So that's a 2-piece handle. So now I just stick this through the handle here, like so, and through this guy. Make yourself a nice tight knot at the end, as close to the end as you can make it there. Pull it nice and tight. Stick it in there. It just feeds into this little crevice or opening there, and just pull it back through. And now we're ready to release that. And there you go. Now she's ready to go back on the machine. So hopefully this was informative, guys. Hopefully I helped you guys out. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you're not already a subscriber and you like small engine repair stuff, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That helps me out on the channel. Also, you can hit the notification bell right next to it, and that way each and every week when I post a video just like this, you will be notified. So until next week's project, guys, take care.